All right, now we're going to look at some examples where we have fractions and how do we deal with I in the denominator of a fraction. So in our first example, we can see that here's I in the denominator. Similar to a radical in the denominator, we do not leave I in the denominator. So we rationalize with I. If we take this example and multiply the bottom by I and the top by I, on the top we're going to have 2I, on the bottom we're going to have 3I squared. But remember, I squared is actually equal to -1, so we have 2I over a -3. And then in a fraction, if you have, just the denominator negative, let's go ahead and put that up top. We're going to say a -2I over 3. This is a negative fraction. This is still a negative fraction, but mathematically we prefer the negative up top. All right, so our final answer has the denominator without the I, which was our goal. All right, next example. Well, here we have a radical, but it's the square root of a negative number. So remember, if you square root a -1, you get I. So really what we have is 6 over I times the square root of 2. Well, we don't want the I and we don't want the square root of 2. So let's multiply the top and bottom by the I and the square root of 2. Now on the top, you're going to have 6I times the square root of 2. On the bottom, you're going to have I times I, which is I squared. But remember, I squared is -1 times square root of 2 times square root of 2 is 2. So really what we're looking at is 6I times the square root of 2 over -2. And then what we may be noticing is you have a 6 divided by a -2. We can actually simplify those together. Our final answer, 6 divided by -2 is -3. Then we have our I and we have our square root of 2. So these aren't too bad. We just need to know that in order to get rid of an I in the denominator, multiply it by itself. For this next example, we have a square root of a negative number, so let's take care of that. We know that the square root of that -1 is I, so we have I times the square root of 7 over 2I. Well, this I outside of the radical and this I is outside of the radical, so they actually cancel each other out. And we have the square root of 7 on top and the 2 on the bottom. And we're okay with a 2 in our denominator, so we're going to leave that as our final answer.